Terence Crawford says he's absolutely serious about fighting Canelo Alvarez at 168 if Alvarez gets past Jermell Charlo, and he'd also be happy to face Charlo at that weight class if Charlo were to win the fight between him and Canelo Alvarez. And for the first time, Canelo now says he'd actually be open to a Terence Crawford fight if it makes sense. Now, that, as far as I'm concerned, means if they pay him enough money. That's what he means by if it makes sense. Previously, I thought, you know what, there's no way Canelo Alvarez would take a Terence Crawford fight because the risk is all with him. If he loses to Terence Crawford at 168, a guy coming up 3 weight divisions, that looks terrible on Canelo Alvarez. But if Crawford were to lose to Canelo, again, jumping up 3 weight divisions, people are going to say, oh, well, weight divisions for a reason. He's still a great fighter. He can still go back down to 147 or even 154 and dominate. That's what most people would think if Terence Crawford lost to Canelo. So at this stage of Canelo Alvarez's career, to me, that would just be too big a risk to his reputation to take. I'd be surprised if he did it. But again, money talks. And if they pay him enough money, if they cut him a check that's big enough, I guess anything can happen. But let's see what takes place with this Canelo Alvarez-Jermell Charlo fight, how Canelo performs, if he manages to come through. And of course, there are other people within the PBC sphere that Canelo Alvarez has been linked to, such as David Benavidez. Many people want to see Canelo fight him. He is a mandatory for one of Canelo's belts. So perhaps that fight would be more likely than a fight with Terence Crawford. And you know, if the Crawford-Canelo fight were to happen, or Crawford-Charlo, but let's just talk about Canelo-Crawford for now. If that fight were to happen, this really would be Terence Crawford pushing for greatness. This really would be Terence Crawford pushing the envelope beyond what we saw Floyd Mayweather do. Because yes, Floyd Mayweather fought and beat Canelo Alvarez, but he fought him and beat him at a catch weight. What was it, 152, 153 or something? And it was a very green version of Canelo Alvarez. It was not the skilled, fully hydrated Alvarez that we see today. This is a much more dangerous version of Canelo Alvarez than the one who fought Floyd Mayweather all those years ago. So for my money, if Crawford were to beat this version of Alvarez, he deserves much more credit than Mayweather got for beating the version of Alvarez that he did all those years ago. And it's these types of risks that Mayweather needed to take in order to be seriously considered among the greatest fighters of all time, because he constantly said that he was TBE, the best ever. But he wasn't willing to push the envelope as much as Roy Jones Jr., as much as Sugar Ray Robinson, even as much as Sugar Ray Leonard. And in fact, if Crawford were to fight Canelo, that would be pushing the envelope beyond what Sugar Ray Leonard did as far as I'm concerned. Because yes, Sugar Ray Leonard did fight Donnie Lalonde. Donnie Lalonde is no Canelo Alvarez, let's be real. So it would be an incredible feat for Terence Crawford to do that. And just on that, Crawford says right now he's basically 50-50 in terms of how long he's going to carry on boxing for. He's 35 years of age. He's 40-1 with 30 KOs. Obviously the current undisputed welterweight champion. There's the potential for a rematch with Errol Spence. Spence said he's going to activate the rematch clause. But Crawford said beyond a Spence rematch and a fight against the winner of Canelo versus Jermell Charlo, he really doesn't see anything out there for him in boxing. As it stands right now, he's thinking about retirement, basically. Now, as a selfish boxing fan, when I hear that, it's disappointing because I'd really like to see Terence Crawford fight Jerome Ennis, who's one of his mandatories. And if he doesn't fight Jerome Ennis, surely he's going to get stripped of a belt. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Canelo-Jermell Charlo fight. Maybe Crawford can make his mind up after that. But where would Ennis stand if Crawford decided to fight the winner of Canelo versus Charlo? Again, would Crawford get stripped? Because Ennis has been waiting for a long time. I would really like to see Ennis fight Terence Crawford. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. The prospect of Terence Crawford fighting the winner of Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo at 168. Not 154, not 160, 168. Would there be rehydration clauses involved and all that kind of stuff? If there was, I'd be surprised if Canelo took it. Canelo's going to want to be able to come in fully hydrated, right? That's what I would assume. If Crawford's willing to do all that, wow. Let me know what you guys think.